Arkin. I've mentioned him in many of my videos before. He's a lot younger than me, okay? And he was already starting to become a really good, he already started to develop a very good name for himself back in his early 20s. I'm not sure how old he is now. If he's not in his late 20s or early 30s, I don't know. But I didn't look at him and think, well, I'm not going to listen to him because he's younger than me. No, I respected his art. I respected the way he communicated. I respected his direction. I respected his dedication. What else is there to say? Age had nothing to do with it. You know, he's a good example and a good role model, right? So that's why I listen to him. My daughter at 13 years old, even though she keeps saying she's never going to be an artist because she knows it's a very difficult lifestyle, she's amazing. And if I could draw half as good as her at 13, man, dang, okay? So, you know, age really doesn't have anything to do with it. And if you go the opposite spectrum, I know artists that only decided to pick up art in their late 40s, early 50s, you know, later on in life, even older than that. And within a very short period of time became brilliant artists. Not only because the passion always existed, but they finally decided to attack it professionally and get some professional training. Because in my personal opinion, you need professional training. You can always tell somebody who isn't trained. A lot of people who boast, I'm self-taught. Any professional is going to say, yeah, it's pretty clear you are, you know. You need some kind of a professional backing. If it's not from a school, it's from a mentorship. If it's not from a mentorship, it's from a friend, right? But somebody who can guide you professionally through your artwork. But they decided to pick it up when they were 65. And all of a sudden they become extremely well known, you know, after after retirement age, because they have a lifetime of experience, because they have a lifetime of thought, they have depth, and they have a very unique perspective on the world, and they have a lot of information, they're very good storytellers. So all of that stuff injects into their work later on in life, right? So there is no time, there is no age limit. My inspirations and the artists that I look up to and admire come from every single walk of life, every single age, okay? But your passion and your dedication and how much work you put into training and developing yourself professionally, well, that definitely makes a difference no matter what age you are, right? Now, as far as my own art development is concerned, well, if you want to see my actual drawing process, I've got tons of YouTube videos. I've been doing, my YouTube channel is over 3 years old. I have Gumroads. I have my school, which is over 120 videos. So, you know, if you want to take my mentorship, there's a good place to learn. But just to give you kind of a global overview of my particular process, I don't regard art production or art development as being one formula, okay? If you look at artists, it can be very misleading if you look at artists like Bob Ross, for instance, you know, who had a very similar technique he used in every single one of his paintings, right? And it was he did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos throughout his entire career. But what a lot of people don't know, he was very candid about this in his videos, but he did 2 or 3 different iterations of that painting, and he was always doing a replica of what he already painted off screen. Because off screen, he was developing the technique and he was balancing the colors. And in front of the camera, he was doing a single shot painting because, of course, he didn't have 6 hours to work that stuff out in front of a camera, right? But the way I regard it is not one set formula. And you go, this is the same cut and paste formula I'm going to use for every single one. I do have a similar approach to my work in every one, right? Because there's a certain type of work I like to produce. But I don't regard it as a single formula. I regard it as a single toolkit. And a good comparison could be think of a makeup artist. Okay? I was watching with my daughter, what's it called? It's the drag queen show. I can't remember the name. But there's one really hilarious drag queen where he says, "Let me ask you a question." I love him so much. He was showing off his makeup case or something like that. And his makeup case isn't just like a little... It's a huge suitcase, and it's got tunk, 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 and it's got all of these things, these hundreds of makeups and eyeliners and mascaras and all kinds of things, like this huge kit, really intimidating looking kit of makeup, right? And you ask yourself logically, is he going to use every single different type of makeup on a single makeup job? Of course not. But he knows which ones he needs to use to get that particular look, you know? Like the Kim Kardashian smoky eyes, as my daughter likes to call it. You know? Like, he knows which makeup he needs to use in order to get that particular look. Well, it's the same thing for us as artists. And that's how I teach. Okay, in my mentorship, this is how I teach. I'm not teaching you the formula because every artist is unique. They all have their own different narrative, their own rendering style, their own this, their own that. So what I teach is as many tools as possible. I basically give you a huge makeup kit of art tools at your arsenal, okay? And help you understand all of those techniques to a way that you can apply them intuitively. And then you as an artist, depending on the type of art you produce, depending on your style, depending on your approach, depending on your tastes, your visual storytelling approach, okay? Know intuitively, depending on the demand of that particular painting, what tools to use. And you go, okay, for this painting, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need some of that, I'm going to need some blush, I'm going to need some eyeliner, I'm going to need this color, this, I'm going to need that. Okay, there's my kit, and I work with that for this painting. And you intuitively know, with a bit of practice, you'll intuitively know which tools to use. If something's missing, maybe I need a bit of this, you know? And you go into your makeup kit and you grab that, okay? That's how I regard the artistic process in and of itself, all right? So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight into how you can approach your own paintings. All right, our next question is in French, and it comes from Brian L. Design, or Brian capital I Design. I can never get that. I Design, maybe. Adam, le speed painting est vraiment bon pour comprendre la lumière globale, tester des choses, expérimenter, etc. Donc, I'll do this in English after. Faire des propositions dans le concept art, mais oui, ce n'est pas un fin en soi. Il faut varier entre le rendu fini et le speed paint pour à la fois comprendre l'ensemble et à la fois pour pouvoir rendre des parties précises de l'image. Il ne faut pas le dénigrer non plus, à mon avis. Merci. Et c'est un bon point parce que Brian est en train de parler je me souviens, dans le dernier Q&A que j'ai fait, je parlais de speed painting, mon opinion personnelle de speed painting. Puis ce que j'ai dit, c'est que c'était vraiment plus le show-off, que si on regarde la réponse que j'ai donnée générique, c'était que je trouve ça un petit peu show-off, mais t'apprends pas vraiment beaucoup. Quand tu es quelqu'un, un spectateur ou quelqu'un qui est plus débutant, quand tu commences à dessiner, que tu regardes un speed painting, c'est difficile à dire, à apprendre quelque chose. C'est plus le show-off. En plus, généralement, il y a le time-lapse, le vidéo est accéléré. Puis, ça te donne un mauvais perspective de la réalité derrière, créer une image, une belle image. Comment faire quelque chose de la bonne façon. Mais ce que Brian est en train de dire, c'est que oui, il y a certainement des différentes raisons pourquoi le speed painting est une bonne idée. Parce que ça te donne l'opportunité de regarder l'image globale, de regarder toute l'image à l'ensemble pour créer une image qui est concrète, qui n'est pas comme un cut and paste des différentes parties qui sont toutes copiées-collées partout. En plus, ça te donne l'opportunité d'expérimenter beaucoup. Expérimenter avec l'éclairage, expérimenter avec les textures, le rendu, des choses comme ça. Et c'est absolument vrai ce que Brian est en train de dire. Mais, juste pour clarifier, parce que souvent quand vous demandez des questions, ça me donne l'opportunité de clarifier des choses que j'ai déjà dit. Au niveau d'apprentissage, pour quelqu'un qui apprend pour la première fois comment dessiner, il y a quelque chose qui arrive quand tu regardes. C'est pas juste quelque chose qui t'aide pas nécessairement, mais c'est quelque chose qui peut t'envoyer dans la mauvaise direction au niveau d'apprentissage, au niveau d'éducation artistique. C'est que quand tu regardes quelque chose, tu es en train d'écouter quelque chose qui est time-lapse, qui est accéléré comme 2 ou 3 fois la vitesse, ça joue avec la façon que tu considère, c'est quoi le mot que je cherche? Ça joue avec ta conception de temps. Le temps que ça prend pour créer une image, une belle image, quelque chose qui est beau, quelque chose qui est bien recherché. C'est la même chose que jouer à un jeu vidéo. Quand tu joues à un jeu vidéo, si tu joues à un jeu vidéo, puis comme Sims par exemple, c'est un très bon exemple, le jeu Sims, à cause qu'une journée peut passer dans 20 minutes, tu sais, on a le matin, après-midi, soir et nuit, ok, qui se passent toutes dans 20 minutes. Après jouer ce jeu, après un petit bout de temps, ça joue avec ton horloge biologique. Et là, quand tu retournes à la vraie vie, c'est comme tu dois recalibrer ton cerveau un petit peu. C'est vraiment... quand tu fais partie d'un monde, quand tu es vraiment... quand tu es dans un monde d'immersion d'un temps qui est différente, ça joue avec ta conception de temps, puis tu dois recalibrer ton cerveau après. Puis c'est la même chose qui arrive quand tu regardes des images qui sont time-lapse. Ça te donne la mauvaise impression de ce que ça prend pour faire une image. Et là, quand tu regardes quelque chose qui est accéléré, quand les gens font de peinture, même si c'est marqué sur l'écran 3 fois vitesse, ça change absolument rien. C'est toujours mieux de voir une vraie image le temps que ça prend en réalité pour créer une image. OK? Puis là, ça peut causer un genre d'effet. Ça peut te rendre paresseux, dans le fond. Parce que c'est comme quand tu fais des exercices. Quand tu commences à faire le jogging, la première fois, tu peux courir comme un coin de rue. Puis la deuxième fois, 2 coins de rue. Puis après ça, tu peux aller 2 kilomètres. Okay? Parce que tu commences à gagner un petit peu plus de stamina. Mais ça prend l'exercice, ça prend le temps pour accélérer, ça prend le temps pour gagner un petit peu plus de stamina quand tu cours. Quand tu dessines, c'est la même affaire. Mais si dans ton cerveau, tu dois faire une image, chaque fois que tu fais une image, tu te donnes seulement une bloc de 2 heures pour faire une image ou 1 heure pour faire une image. Là, après que tu dépasses 1h30, tu commences à perdre l'énergie, tu commences à ralentir, tu commences à perdre ton inspiration et tu rends paresseux après ce temps. Alors, si tu veux faire quelque chose qui est vraiment de bonne qualité, là, tu commences à perdre la capacité de vraiment créer quelque chose de vraiment bonne qualité. Et c'est encore pire pour quelqu'un qui commence à dessiner parce qu'ils n'ont pas encore l'expérience pour vraiment répondre à des questions importantes au début. Ça prend le temps et l'expérience pour répondre à des questions artistiques rapidement dans ton image pour que tu peux faire le rendu final de meilleure qualité. Alors, quand tu dessines, quand tu prends ton temps, quand tu pratiques ta coordination entre tes yeux et ta main, quand tu prends le temps, quand tu ignores l'horloge, tu commences pas seulement à développer ton qualité, ta capacité d'observer le monde, d'utiliser des images de référence, d'aller à l'extérieur pour explorer le monde autour de toi. Le temps que ça prend pour apprendre des choses comme ça, quand tu prends ton temps avec une image, c'est pas juste la qualité de ta main, c'est pas juste la qualité de tes mains, la force de tes mains, le hand-to-eye coordination qui améliore, mais c'est aussi ton énergie, de stamina de dessiner, de faire quelque chose qui prend plus de temps, de garder ton attention, de garder ton focus pendant plus de temps. OK? C'est ça qui est important. Mais l'avantage de travailler avec un speed painting, avec un petit peu plus d'expérience, moi, je suggère jamais, je le recommande jamais pour quelqu'un qui commence à dessiner. Peut-être pour quelqu'un qui a déjà dessiné pendant 5 ans ou quelque chose comme ça. Ils ont un petit peu plus d'expérience. Et quand tu fais l'expérimentation, quand tu fais tes petits croquis, quand tu fais des petits thumbnails, là, juste pour expérimenter rapidement, pour trouver une composition, pour balancer tes valeurs et tes couleurs, etc., comment tu vas faire le design, puis toutes les choses comme ça. Là, à ce point-là, c'est vraiment utile. Si tu veux vraiment comme juste reculer et regarder ton image de distance, de loin, et juste expérimenter avec des différentes choses, utilisant des coups de crayon un petit peu plus fluides, des relax, un petit peu plus confiants, là, c'est super. OK? Mais pour apprendre, pour améliorer comme artiste, ça, je trouve vraiment inutile. OK? Mais c'était un super bon point. Now, just to say this in English, what Brian's saying is that speed painting is good for learning, is for mastering global illumination, like how lighting works globally, for testing things, for experimenting, trying different things out, but it's definitely not, a means to an end, so to speak. You have to vary your finished render in a speed painting to understand the full picture. So basically, it gives you an opportunity to be able to see the big picture, right? And not get caught up in details that can end up making your image look very, cut and pasty, right? You got a tree here, a person here. You kind of think more of the entire canvas as a whole. He's saying it's definitely not the best way to learn, but you shouldn't put it down. I was kind of denigrating it a little bit. I was putting down speed painting. I was putting down speed painting, but Brian does have a good point, okay? I was putting down speed painting, but to be more specific, because these questions very often give me a chance to elaborate more on that, I find it very misleading when it comes to especially younger, more novice artists who haven't really experienced what it's like to produce a finished, polished, professional piece of artwork, okay? And that process can take a long time to achieve. Even if it's marked on the screen that this video is being time-lapsed, or even if it's not time-lapsed, it's painted very fast. What that does is, whether you like it or not, even if it's marked on the screen, it messes with your internal clock. It messes with your perception of time. And the example I used when I was saying it in French was the game Sims, where a full day is compressed into like 10 minutes, right? So, so morning, afternoon, evening, and night, all is compressed into a shorter time span. It's a time lapse game, basically. And the concept of time is a very powerful element in the game. And it's a very powerful element in any game that includes time in it, like World of Warcraft, for instance, right? Where your internal clock will readjust itself. We are adapting creatures. We're organic. We adapt to our environment. So when we're playing a game like The Sims, it recalibrates our inner clock, right? When you come out of the game, you kind of have to recalibrate yourself and bring yourself back into a normal time span. So what that does when you're watching a time-lapse video is you keep seeing over and over and over the example of somebody who pulls off a finished painting in 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. So it's conditioning your brain to think that in 1 hour I have to succeed. In 1 hour I have to succeed. In 1 hour I have to succeed. So when you sit down, start doing a painting, after 1 hour and 15 minutes, your energy, your focus just drops to the floor because you start doubting yourself that you screwed up the painting and it sucks because after 1 hour it didn't work, okay? And that is very damaging to a learning process. It's very damaging to a person's understanding of art. Think of it like running, like jogging. When the first time you go for a jog, you make it 1 block, you're out of breath, you walk, you limp home. Second time, you go 2 blocks and you limp home. Third time, you make it 4 blocks and then you jog back. Fifth time, you go 1 mile and then you run back. Because you're building up your endurance, okay, you're gaining more and more endurance, more stamina to continue going longer distances. And when you're painting and ignoring the clock, it's the same thing as a good workout, a good cardio workout. What it's doing is it's not only helping you strengthen your hand-to-eye coordination, it's strengthening the muscles of your hands that you need to draw. It's helping you focus. It's giving you the time to be able to get the right kind of research, to set the right kind of goals, to be more goal-oriented than time-oriented. But you're also developing your stamina to paint. You're lengthening your time clock to be able to produce more, to go further with your artwork. When you're trying to compress everything into 1 hour, after 1 hour, your focus plummets. You go, after 1 hour, you start getting lazy and you fuck up a painting, right? Because your brain is conditioned to succeed in 1 hour, or at least you've been taught to succeed in 1 hour. And you're cutting yourself short from producing the best artwork you could possibly produce and learning the most valuable lessons artistically because you're not allowing yourself enough time to do that. And that's where I find speed paintings is very, very not only ineffective, but damaging to the psyche of an artist, especially when they're learning. But this is also something that can affect artists with more experience that have been doing it for 4 or 5 years as well. Now, the other thing I want to mention about this is the other point that Brian's making in this, and that is in regards to the actual benefits of speed painting, which are very important benefits to note. And that is, when you're working fast, it's preventing you from getting caught up in a single detail, right? It's forcing you to look at the entire image as a whole, the big picture. And as an artist, this is an important thing to focus on, okay? That you are looking at the big picture and you're not getting caught up in fine details until the very, very end. So it allows you to really flesh out how you want the lighting to look, to the composition, the fluidity of the entire composition as a whole, testing things, experimenting. In that regard, speed painting is an excellent tool. And I use this very often when I'm going over students' work in my school. I very often I recommend, once they have blocked in what the overall composition is about, that's done slowly at their own pace. They block in what the entire composition is about. They figure out what the lighting is and everything like that. When it gets into the design phase of a painting, where you're starting to add in design elements and push the visual narrative and add details and stuff like that to the scene, I very often, at that point, say, create a layer, sit back and relax, create a layer, and just start sketching in loosely details. Explore. That's when you start looking up image references and you start exploring what kind of design elements you can throw into your scene. And just do a little test and see what it would like if you throw this wire over here and that chain over there, if you bend this over here and throw some lighting in like that. You're messing with your already existing image loosely and quickly. And it allows you to create more of a continuous image, and more of a where everything is a little bit more cohesive in your image. It works more as a whole. You're picturing the big picture, okay? And then once you have fleshed that out, once you have decided what's what, and you kind of move things around and you added elements around and everything like that you like, then you can take that and then you can do it nicely, right? You can do it properly. But just in the brain exploration phase, working quickly in a kind of a speed painterly type of way, that's a good time to use it, okay? But if you're trying to do a painting from beginning to end and you don't have any experience as a painter and you're just new to this and you're trying to learn, do not, my opinion is, do not use the speed painting approach, because you're going to have the physical endurance of a slug. You're going to last 1 hour and then that's it. And that's when you're going to get brain tired, discouraged, and turn on World of Warcraft. Okay? So that's my 2 cents on that. So thank you, Brian. All right, our next question comes from Antoine DL or DI. I never know. Again in French. And Antoine says, merci encore une fois pour une excellente vidéo. Merci. Je me rends compte de plus en plus que l'illustration est une sphère qui m'intéresse en particulier, mais j'ai parfois du mal à saisir où les illustrateurs sont demandés. Je suis familier avec MTG par exemple, ou bien des illustrations de couverture de livres, mais malgré tout, j'ai l'impression qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'endroits pour l'illustration. J'aimerais beaucoup me faire contredire. Ha ha ha. Alors ce qu'Antoine est en train de dire, dans le fond, qui est très clair, c'est que c'est quelque chose qu'il aimerait faire. Antoine aimerait beaucoup être un illustrateur à temps plein, mais il y a de misère à voir où trouver le travail. Ça a l'air qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de travail en illustration. Moi, je vais répondre à cette question en faire une comparaison entre travail à la pige et travail à temps plein. Parce que c'est deux différents mondes. Okay? Mais il y a des avantages et des désavantages dépendant du type de travail que tu veux faire. Okay? Comme illustrateur, je ne suis pas sûr si Antoine est un Québécois ou un Français. Oui, Français. Parce que c'est deux différents pays, puis il y a une différente demande pour des artistes. Mais au Canada, au Québec, là, il n'y a pas beaucoup de travail pour des illustrateurs. Ça, c'est très vrai. Et ce que je vois la plupart de temps, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup de studios, beaucoup de différentes boîtes de jeux, par exemple, jeux ou films, mais la plupart des compagnies à Montréal, des grandes compagnies sont plus pour... Originalement, c'était plus le jeu, mais il commence à rentrer avec plus de compagnies de films, comme par exemple, on a Eidos, EA, Ubisoft, Warner Bros. Puis il y a aussi maintenant, il y a comme Frame Store, des différents comme Frame Store et des différentes compagnies, des différentes boîtes de films qui viennent juste de rentrer à Montréal, ça fait quelques années. Mais là, ce que je vois généralement, c'est qu'il y a une petite équipe d'artistes 2D qui est vraiment comme protégée. C'est comme ça fait, c'est comme leur équipe principale d'art traditionnel. Et ça arrive pas très très souvent qu'ils engagent plusieurs, parce que c'est comme ils protègent leur petite équipe d'artistes précieux. Puis là, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'opportunités nécessairement pour d'autres artistes à rentrer. Et moi, j'ai décidé, quand j'ai travaillé dans des jeux vidéo, puis j'ai fait du 3D, il y avait plein de travail. Mais là, quand je voulais travailler comme illustrateur, au moins au début, parce que je veux clarifier quelque chose après, ce que j'ai vu, c'est... Moi, je voulais travailler comme illustrateur traditionnel. C'est ça, c'était vraiment ma passion. Puis moi, c'était une contribution aux jeux vidéo et des films que je voulais vraiment faire. C'est là où je trouvais que je pouvais vraiment offrir mon meilleur pour une compagnie. Mais travaille à Montréal, il n'y avait pas vraiment beaucoup de travail. Il y a quelques petits boulots de temps en temps, mais la plupart du temps, ça n'existait pas. Alors, c'était à ce point-là, sauf travailler comme prof, par exemple, où j'enseigne, mais ce que j'ai décidé, la raison pour laquelle j'ai décidé de travailler à la pige était parce que il y a beaucoup de demandes partout au monde. OK? En Europe, aux États-Unis, en Amérique du Sud, partout au monde, il y a beaucoup, beaucoup de demandes pour des artistes, mais là, tu dois aller les chercher. Tu peux pas, par exemple, j'ai 3 enfants à la maison, je peux pas me déménager chaque fois que je veux travailler pour une différente compagnie sur un différent projet. Alors, c'était toujours important pour moi de trouver l'emploi, mais trouver l'emploi pour des studios qui demandent pas avoir des artistes in-house. OK? C'était des compagnies qui étaient confortables de travailler pour un artiste à la pige, quelqu'un à longue distance. Alors, c'est ça que j'ai décidé de faire. Mais j'avais déjà quelque chose de stable, je travaillais comme prof. OK? Je travaillais pour une école. Alors, ça me donnait le temps, puis un salaire où je pouvais payer mes factures, puis aller chercher d'autres travails pour développer mon travail à la pige, pour développer un clientèle. OK? Mais c'est très important de clarifier quelque chose. Travailler à la pige, c'est beaucoup de gens, quand tu commences à travailler à la pige, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de monde qui m'approche, qui me demande la question, moi je veux commencer à travailler à la pige, comment je peux faire pour avoir du succès, travailler à la pige? Ma réponse, c'est jamais quelque chose qui va fonctionner à overnight. Ça n'existe pas. Ça n'existe pas du tout. OK? La raison pour ça, c'est parce que tu dois créer un client. Tu dois faire beaucoup de recherches, chercher partout pour le travail, avoir un bon portfolio qui peut attirer le propre travail, avoir un portfolio qui peut vraiment attirer l'attention, puis tu veux réussir l'appel, tu veux réussir le job, puis s'il y a beaucoup de compétition, ça va être difficile au début, mais ça prend du temps, OK, à développer, travailler à la pige. En plus, si tu regardes l'exemple de tous les différents artistes que tu connais partout au monde qui ont du succès comme des artistes comme par exemple Anthony Jones ou Bobby Chu ou Noah Bradley, Chris Oatley, tous les artistes que tu connais en ligne, observe quelque chose d'important. Une commonalité qu'on voit avec tous les différents artistes qui travaillent à la pige, qui sont publics, OK, font toutes la même chose. Ils font pas juste l'art. Ils ont des écoles, ils ont des mentorships, ils ont des différents produits, ils ont plein de différentes choses qu'ils font en même temps. Quand tu travailles à la pige, ça peut arriver n'importe qui tu es, et ça existe pour tout le monde, pas juste pour les artistes. N'importe qui travaille à la pige. Tu dois trouver une façon de générer plus d'une source de salaire. Si moi je faisais juste, si je travaille seulement à la pige, ouais, ben, j'ai du travail peut-être pour 2 semaines ou pour 3 mois ou même pour 6 mois ou pour 1 an. Mais qu'est-ce qui arrive après ça? Je dois toujours préparer pour le prochain job que je vais avoir. Alors pendant que je suis en train de travailler sur une, c'est très facile de dire, ben, je travaille à temps plein, je suis fatigué, je veux pas continuer le travail après. Mais là, c'est ça. Alors, tu fais ton contrat, pendant des mois, tu as un salaire, tout est correct. Puis là, tu arrives à la fin de ton contrat, puis tu n'as rien. Puis l'argent que tu as dans la banque, dans ton compte, commence à faire. Au début, c'est correct parce que tu as plein d'argent. Ouais, c'est quelques $1000 dans ton compte, ou quelques $100, OK? Puis là, tu as de l'argent, puis ça diminue, puis quand ça commence à arriver à 25% de l'argent que tu avais originalement, tu commences à paniquer. OK? Parce que OK, j'ai besoin du travail, je dois payer mes factures, puis tu commences à vivre, tu commences une pattern de panique dans ton carrière. Je dois toujours chasser l'argent. OK? Alors, ce que tu dois développer une attitude de toujours, l'habitude au moins, de toujours aller chercher d'autres travails pendant que tu es en train de travailler. Et c'est plus facile à trouver du travail pendant que tu travailles. Parce que si tu peux dire à un client ou un directeur ou n'importe qui, ou tu envoies ton portfolio, tu peux dire je vais être disponible dans 2 semaines, je vais être disponible à telle date. Ça montre à ton client que tu es quelqu'un en demande. OK? T'es pas quelqu'un qui, comme, t'es pas, je sais pas le mot en français, desperate. C'est comme t'es quelqu'un que je dois manger s'il te plaît, tu peux me donner du travail. T'es quelqu'un qui en demande, t'es quelqu'un qui a déjà du succès. Il y a d'autres studios qui veulent ton talent. Alors, c'est quelque chose qui reflète bien avec tes clients. S'ils disent non, on a besoin de quelqu'un tout de suite, tu dois décider, est-ce que j'ai le temps ou l'énergie de faire 2? Est-ce que je peux ajouter quelques heures à la semaine? Peut-être tu peux négocier quelque chose. Mais attendre à la fin puis aller chercher du travail à la fin, c'est une mauvaise idée puis ça va pas durer longtemps. C'est pas quelque chose qui est stable. OK? Alors, tu dois toujours être prêt à trouver quelque chose d'autre. Tu dois toujours chercher d'autres travail. En plus, quelque chose d'autre qui peut t'aider, c'est de pas, au niveau financier, au niveau de ton monnaie, l'argent que tu as, comment utiliser ton argent de la bonne façon quand tu travailles à la pige, quand tu veux être un artiste indépendant, et de toujours considérer si j'ai tel argent, et peut-être cet argent-là, ça c'est de l'argent que j'ai besoin pour payer des factures, puis cet argent-là, c'est juste l'argent supplémentaire. Tu peux acheter des jeux vidéo, tu peux aller acheter des films, tu peux aller manger dans un resto avec ta femme, comme tu veux. Ou tu peux prendre cet argent-là et tu peux dire comment je peux faire l'argent avec ça. OK? Comment je peux faire l'argent avec ça? Alors je peux dire comme moi je peux juste gaspiller mon argent à acheter 3 ou 4 jeux vidéo. Je peux faire ça si je veux. Ou peut-être, par exemple, je voulais commencer mon propre école. Peut-être mon mentorship en ligne ou quelque chose, une école en ligne, comme moi j'ai fait avec Lucid Pixel. Puis là, je peux dire, OK, cet argent-là, je peux acheter l'équipement, un nouveau un microphone, un nouveau webcam. Je peux acheter l'espace comme un cloud server, Dropbox, où je peux sauvegarder tout le travail de mes étudiants. Je peux, si j'ai besoin, si je suis pas confiant avec la programmation, je peux utiliser cet argent-là pour engager un programmeur ou un web designer qui peut créer un site web pour moi, quelque chose que je peux utiliser. Tu peux investir cet argent vers quelque chose d'autre que tu peux faire l'argent avec. Au début, ça va rien faire, tu vas dépenser l'argent, mais tu utilises cet argent pour créer l'argent. Et ça arrive à un certain point, si tu continues de faire ça, tu vas avoir plusieurs différentes sources de revenus. Okay? Plusieurs différentes sources de revenus. Et là, quand tu travailles à la pige, au début, c'est toujours stressant au début. Encore plus si tu travailles pas dans d'autres places, si tu n'as pas d'autres sources d'argent, c'est toujours stressant au début. Alors, c'est la raison pour que je dis toujours commence à travailler à la pige doucement pendant que tu as déjà quelque chose temps plein ou temps partiel. Et doucement, toutes ces différentes sources de revenus, si tu l'utilises de façon intelligente, ça va commencer à créer l'argent. Alors, tu as plusieurs différentes façons de faire de l'argent, plusieurs différentes sources de revenus. Et là, c'est là où tu commences à être capable à agrandir et développer tes différentes idées. Okay? Et le plus d'argent, le plus que tu peux investir dans d'autres choses. Je peux investir, j'ai un tel budget pour faire du Google marketing ou du YouTube marketing ou Facebook marketing. Je touche pas Facebook, c'est la merde. Mais en tout cas, tu comprends ce que je veux dire? Alors, oublie que tu peux juste quitter puis changer ton statut sur LinkedIn pour freelancer. Ça va rien faire. Tu peux attendre, puis tu vas perdre ton argent, puis tu vas paniquer, puis tu vas aller envoyer ton CV à la première studio que tu trouves parce que tu ne peux pas vivre de même. Même si tu as quelque chose de début, ça va durer la longueur du contrat, puis après ça, il n'y a absolument rien. Alors, tu dois toujours être créatif des différentes façons que tu peux utiliser ton talent pour faire du business, puis là, toujours être prêt pour trouver le prochain emploi. OK? Alors, just to reiterate quickly in English, I'm going to try not to keep it too long, because it was a 12-minute response in French, but my thoughts are a little bit more organized. What Antoine is saying in this is that he says, thank you for the video. He goes, I want to be, the illustration world is something that really interests me. But I very often feel like I'm having a hard time seeing where the demand is for illustration compared to other jobs. Like there is, he's saying, for instance, I do know about Magic the Gathering, for instance, like doing trading card games or illustrations for book covers or stuff like that. But I'm having a hard time, I'm getting the impression that there's not a lot of demand out there. However, I would love you to contradict that. Ha ha ha. So my answer to him was to distinguish the difference between working in a studio and working freelance. Okay, when you're working in a studio, your boss comes in and hands work to you, right? 9 to 5, hands work to you. Does it mean it's more stable? Not necessarily, because if we know anything about the art industry, c'est quelque chose que je n'ai pas encore mentionné en français, but when you're working in a studio, you're getting stable work for the 9 to 5 work, and you can forget about it because nobody's, you don't have to go out and find work for yourself. They're handing you work, but the lack of stability is in the fact that studios are on limited budgets. The economy is not doing really well. They very often lay off people, and it's very often happened. I've got a great job. I'm stable. Everything's going well. And I'm planning a vacation, and then fired. Like out of nowhere, they hold a meeting and they say, "I'm sorry, we got to lay you guys off." And that's happened more than once. That's actually one of the things that actually prompted me to go and check out doing freelancing in the first place, because I didn't find that stability in full-time work necessarily. There were just too many layoffs all the time. And you could feel absolutely stable and everything was going well, and your employment would only last 6 months in a studio or a year, and then you were back on the chopping block again. You were back on the road looking for work again. Now, in the freelance world, a very common misconception is, people who approach me, about working freelance, you think that, okay, this is my plan for working as a freelancer. I'm going to quit my job, fuck my boss, and I'm going to really tell my boss to fuck you, and I'm going to, and then the next day, I'm going to go and I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to make myself a coffee in my pajamas, and I'm going to go on LinkedIn and I'm going to change my status to freelancer. And and then as soon as you hit enter update status, all of a sudden it's going to be, oh, me, oh, please, me next. And it's like, okay, I'll work for you, and I'll work for you, and I'll think about you. Okay, that is not how it works. As a freelancer, and I don't give a fuck, I'm going to swear, I don't give a fuck how famous you are, how successful you are, how wonderful you are. Every freelancer on earth, if they have any kind of stability in life, it's because they're out there looking for it. Okay? When you're a freelancer, you're always looking for the next opportunity while you're working. The biggest common mistake is, somebody offers you a 3-month contract. So you say, fuck my job, and you quit your contract. I'm going to be a freelancer full time. And you work 3 months. Ooh, I haven't got my salary. No. Okay? All's good and all's fair. And you're working. And then what happens? That contract ends. Did you find anything else? No? Well, you see your bank account starts to very quickly dwindle, okay? And when at the beginning you might have a couple of $1,000 in your account, you're feeling all fine and dandy, but once you start to get down into lower digits, you start to panic. And that's when you start to go, shit, I gotta find other work or I'm not gonna pay my bills. So you go scrambling at that point to find work, and you're not working. So there's a little bit more desperation in your voice, a little bit more of, you're panicking. And very often what I've seen with a lot of people who try to work freelance and it doesn't work are people that, they make money, and then the money dwindles and they panic, and they make money, and then the money dwindles and they panic, and then they make money and at a certain point it's not sustainable. It's too hard on your stress level to continue living that way. Okay. So the thing you've got to realize, and the habit you've got to make as a freelancer, is realizing that you always got to be ready for the next gig. I'm working. On my lunch break and after hours, whenever I have a free moment, I'm looking for something else. Okay? You're constantly looking for that next opportunity. And you have to be vigilant about it and it also helps when you're working and you're looking for work. If somebody calls you because they're interested in your work, okay, and they want to hire you for something, you have the added power of not being in panic mode. And furthermore, it looks good. Clients and employers like hearing you say, they actually enjoy hearing you say, I'm going to be available in 2 weeks. I'm going to be available on this date. Because it shows you're in demand, right? It shows that you're somebody in demand, and it shows that you're somebody who's proactive. That looks good. Clients like hearing that. But if you're sitting there on the phone going, yeah, I can work for you right away. Oh, yeah, no problem. Oh, yeah, negotiate whatever salary you want because my children are starving to death. That doesn't look good. And it doesn't feel good for you as a freelancer, okay? That's the first thing. So changing your status to freelancer on LinkedIn is not going to make you a success as a freelancer. The second thing is, my recommendation is don't start freelancing until it's already reached a stable place. So if you've got a full-time or a part-time job already, okay, use that to sustain yourself and build up your freelance business on the side until it reaches a point where you can sustain yourself, so one gracefully takes over the other and you can carry on in that direction, okay? But once you carry it on, you're carrying it on full time, okay? Now, you might be asking yourself at this point, why would I be a freelancer if it's that stressful? Well, being a freelancer, people think that freelancer is easier. It's less work. It's the opposite. Being a freelancer is twice the work, if not more. You're working around the clock very often, always, always, always working towards your next thing, right? But you're doing what you love. So you're investing large amounts of time and large amounts of energy towards things that are very meaningful to you. One of the reasons why a lot of people end up not enjoying the studio scene is because you're building somebody else's vision. You're building somebody else's project. It's something that you're not emotionally invested in. But when you're freelancing, you're building your own. And that's that even though you're putting a lot of work into it and a lot of time and a lot of energy, you're putting something that your heart's into, right? This is you, and your own work becomes your product, which is a very nice feeling. You know, it is a nice feeling, and I never feel tired. I mean, I do all kinds of stuff, and I'm never tired. I do this because I'm too bored to do anything else. This is what I want to do most, right? Now, the other thing is how to find stability and build yourself. A very good example is look at the commonality that you can see in a lot of different artists. Think of all the most successful artists you can think online today. Think of, Matt Core, think of Anthony Jones, think of Bobby Chu, think of Chris Oatley, think of Noah Bradley. Think of all of these different artists that you can think of that are all independent artists. What do they all have in common? Well, it should jump out at you that all of them do more than just freelance. They're not just painting all the time. They're developing other things on the side, other areas where they can contribute to, they're using their skills in a creative way. Think of Bobby Chu. He started off with, Sketchaholic, and then he went from Sketchaholic, and then he got some freelance gigs working for Tim Burton, and then from that he started Schoolism, and he created a collaboration of different artists, and he started his online school, and then he decided to take that on the road and do online workshops, doing on the road workshops where he got to, do really kick-ass workshops for different things. He was always thinking of how he can use his talent in different ways. He was always being creative with what he had, right? Online schools, workshops. Anthony Jones, he's got Robot Pencil, his online mentorship. Think about Chris Oatley and his podcasts and the Academy. Think about, all of these different artists are all very creative in terms of business. Think about me. I've got Lucid Pixel. I've got my YouTube channel. I do some freelance. I'm also a teacher on the side. I'm not a one-stop shop. I'm not a one thing. As a freelancer, I wanted to build. I don't just want to sit there and just do my gig, ship it, do my gig. That gets boring very quickly. I felt I had more to offer, right? So I decided to start my school, and this is something that I fancied doing for years. But I started freelancing, and I started my school. I was still teaching at a college, part-time, but I was still teaching. So my bills are always getting paid, sometimes more than others. I've had many stressful periods in my life, but you get my point, right? But what I did financially, okay, is while I'm working, instead of going meter up, meter down, meter up, meter down, I'm thinking I want to start an online school. Well, while I've got that income, I'm thinking while I've got that, I'm not going to wait till I'm broke because then it's too late. As soon as I get that little bit of money, which might take you a while to get that at first, right? You're going to get that money. I know this is disposable income. I'm going to buy myself a new mic. I'm going to buy myself a new recording equipment. I'm going to upgrade my video card. I'm going to start developing my site. I'm going to start doing all of these things that, the site and all of that stuff is it's definitely less of an expense to free if you're doing it yourself, which is why I always recommend doing things yourself if you can. But I'm investing in things that will make me money. But it's disposable income. So instead of spending it on a video game, I'm spending it on my next business, right? It's a worthy investment. And at the beginning, I know it's not going to make a lot of money. I'm not just going to open the gates and everybody's just going to come flooding in, right? It doesn't work that way. It has to gain momentum. It has to develop a reputation. You need feedback. You need testimonials. You need word of mouth of people who've taken the membership, who are brave and kind enough to take your mentorship without having any point of reference, and spreading the good word. If you do a good job. If you do a shitty job, people are going to say it was crap. Don't waste your money, right? So when you develop the school, you develop it properly. You organize yourself properly so that when people take the courses, you have a way of teaching that people really benefit from and really grow from. So that when people do go off and wander off and take other mentorships, or they go online, they share good news about the mentorship and help the business grow. Okay? But that's how you're thinking. That's how you got to think. I'm not going to put out a ship. I'm not just going to start open the school and go, it's open, go have fun, and then just sit there on my fat ass and not do anything about it. No, I have to be there for my students. I have to really put my heart and soul into this thing if I want it to be sustainable. This is my passion. This school is my passion. It's my livelihood. This is what I've always wanted to do. If I just produce some videos and let it hang there and collect dust, that's what's going to happen, and it's not going to sustain itself. Okay? You want to put some money into marketing it. You know, how can I do some Google ads? Can I do some YouTube ads? What can I do? How can I help get a better reach, right? These are all little investments that you can make that don't cost a lot, but you're using your money smartly. And eventually, what's going to happen is, instead of just having your freelance, you're going to have your freelance and your school, and then your freelance, your school, and your workshops, and all of that starts to build on itself and starts to become more sustainable. Okay? And that's how you grow financially. But if you're just feeding the meter and then watching the meter go down to zero and then feeding it again and watching it go down to zero, you're going to keep doing that for the rest of your life. You're never going to go anywhere with it. Okay? So that's the real essence of being a freelancer, or furthermore, an independent entrepreneur. Okay? And I encourage people to think more like that than just to think of just doing gigs. Because gigs aren't sustainable. Sometimes there's lots of work, sometimes there's none. And you gotta always have a backup plan as a freelance artist. Otherwise, work in a studio. But do understand that in a studio, with a crappy economy, sometimes that's not stable either. All right? So it's all about being creative and using your time and money to the best of its ability. All right, our next question is actually from my forum. It's not from YouTube, at adamduff.com, and he says, yeah, no, that was a shameless plug there, wasn't it? Isaiah Sinatra, another freaking cool name. I wish I had you guys' names, man. Hello, Mr. Adam. That's a teacher's name. I've noticed that you're a real value painter. Well, thank you for summing me up in 2 words. That is, I see that you start painting in grayscale and only splashing colors at the end, like I saw in your Injustice Tree and Santa videos. I generally love using more saturated colors in my painting, so personally I can't use your process without washing out some of the brighter colors that I may want to use. I've attached an example of an experimental acrylic painting where I started in grayscale, never finished it as a result of my colors. Free promotion for Isaiah's work. However, on the other hand, by using colors from the beginning, as I've grown to do, I easily get distracted with so many different things, and so that I often find myself having to go back and fixing my values. This is an issue that I've had since college, and one we can all relate to, I'm sure. It takes up a few precious time that I have until my deadline. I'm always struggling to get more lenient time restraints for my commissions, because I generally only have at most a month for each painting, which is, by the way, a substantial amount of time. And as you said, I gotta eat, right? So I guess the question is there some sort of fail-proof process for balancing colors and values at once, quickly as well, especially since most of my work is mostly non-digital? That's a very good point, because we haven't really tackled that much yet. Where do I have a convenient little color value slider to glance at when I paint? I have an easier time when using acrylics, because it dries faster naturally, since I can layer colors without blending, but in oils or watercolors. Oil blending and water drop marks make it nearly impossible to retroactively fix values without taking up precious time, and trust me, I make lots of mistakes that I should while painting my pieces, which of course probably consumes most of your time, right? All that tinkering and fixing of a painting probably eats up a lot of your time. This is really, he's talking about traditional painting. However, you're talking about traditional painting, Isaiah, but the process, I'm gonna teach you a little trick that's going to help you solve those problems quickly. And furthermore, not invest all of that time and energy in the painting and wasting all that time trying to fix the painting, because very often when a painting starts to get into repair mode too much, it can end up being a humongous headache, right? And especially if you're working in traditional media, it's far less forgiving, right? You have to wait for the paint to dry. You have to layer things. If you make a mistake, you've got to paint over it and start over from scratch. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people get into digital painting, is because it can be easier and more versatile. However, you're never going to get the same sense of texture and visceral feeling you get from looking at a painting face on. Furthermore, the actual value, the money value of a digital painting will never come close to a traditional painting, because it's not an original or a high quality G clay print that's a limited edition. So there's more value, there's more money value in a traditional painting in that regard. However, you don't have to put yourself through that much headache on the canvas, okay? The value color balance is a tricky one, okay? It's one that a lot of people struggle with. And some people are really strong colorists, but are weak in value, and other people are very strong in value, but very weak in color, all right? Balancing those two can be extremely daunting, which is why my personal suggestion to you is don't do that solving. Don't try to solve that problem on a canvas. You solve that problem doing little thumbnails in a sketchbook, okay? You grab your sketchbook or something like that, and what I very often like to do is, if I'm doing this traditionally, I have a sketchbook and I usually get 2 or 3 markers, light, medium, and low value, okay? Because it restricts me to keeping my value palette very, very simple. And generally, a simple value palette creates for a better range, a better range, because you always want to have your full range of values, light, medium, and darks, okay? And furthermore, keep it simple, okay? In this particular painting I'm looking at, it's really difficult to read where your area of importance is apart from the composition. The composition is telling me that my focal area is that robotic thing in the middle, right? But as far as value is concerned, it's darks, lights, it's just a bounce of dark and light all over the place, which can create a lot of visual noise. Now, when you're doing thumbnails, you're trying to solve that in little 2-minute sketches. And because you're working really small, it's preventing you from being able to get caught up in all of those details that are going to eat up all of your time and energy, right? And in this, you're thinking to yourself, keep it simple. Light, medium, dark. Where are my darks going to be? Where are my mediums? And where are my lights? And then play with them and experiment with them. And it's 2 minutes in experiment, right? So here my mountains are dark, my creature's dark, and then I've got medium sky, light clouds. And then this one I have dark, I'll have a dark mountains with a high value splash of light hitting across the robot and the thing. And all of that is dark and light, and then medium sky. And then I have a white robot with a black sky and dark and medium shadows. And you're playing with that until you find something that makes you go, ooh, that looks best. And when you experiment, you start to realize that you can find more and more creative ways of playing with light, medium, and dark values, and you figure out that value scheme very, very quickly, okay? You do a little sketch, and then you ink it in. Little sketch, ink it in. And they're like 2 to 5 minutes a piece. When I'm working for a client, I haven't done traditional painting in years. I almost have to completely relearn how to use my traditional medium, but I have done it. I studied fine arts, right? But I've pretty much primarily a digital painter now. I've been doing it for such a long time. But the process is the same. And when I'm working for a client, especially if I know I'm doing a painting that's going to take me a month, which is, by the way, a very substantial amount of time. Most of my commissions I did were like a week. You know, I would do commissions sometimes that were 3 or 4 days for a painting. Now, I don't know how big this is. If it's a huge canvas, that's a different story, you know. It might be worth doing smaller canvases because it takes less time and less need to add fine detail. It's up to you. But if it's a large canvas, it's going to take more time and cost you more money unless the client's paying for your materials, right? When I send the client, let's say if my client or whoever's commissioning me wants to kind of play a part in the production process and wants to see, kind of gets examples of what I'm looking at, I'm going to deliberately send them my little value thumbnails. After a day, I'll spend a whole day just doing value studies, okay? And I'm going to tell them, well, I like this one. These are my personal picks. Which ones do you like, right? Because they're thumbnails and because they're very roughly done, it's just basic blocked in shapes, it's preventing the client from being able to ask questions like, could you put more detail? Because the whole point of it is that there's little detail, but you want your client to see how they feel about that particular value scheme, Okay, if the client's involved at all at that point, very often the client's not. But if the client wants to have more of a hands-on experience with this art, that's what I would do. That okay, I would share those with them, and that's enough information for them to get an idea of what the overall scheme of things is going to look, so that when you move forward with it, you're moving forward with a lot more confidence, and you didn't do all that tinkering in your painting. You just did it in these very easy 2-minute thumbs. You can do the same thing with color. Again, with color and value, same thing. Keep it simple. One of the common mistakes made with color is that people use just too many colors, right? You'd be amazed if you do master studies of paintings, like if you do like the Hudson River painters or, John Singer Sargent, any master people who are very good with color, which you'll very quickly come to learn is you can get a full range of color using a single hue. Just by playing with value and saturation, you can have something that looks blue when in fact it's red just by playing with the saturation, right? So when you're looking, after you've done your value thumbs and you've picked one that you're nice with, now you can do a few color thumbs and play around with different harmonies of color. Maybe I want to make it a complementary color scheme, or make it a monochromatic color scheme, or maybe, if I really feel ballsy, maybe a triadic color scheme, throw in a third color. You'll realize what an important decision that is to make in a painting. How big of a decision it is to actually add a third color into your painting. And you play around with these different color schemes, different harmonies, playing maybe green and yellow, green and blue. Okay, now maybe blue and red. Maybe just make it monochromatic, high saturation, low saturation, red. And you play around with it like that in these thumbs. Respecting the value, you're replicating the same value scheme and composition scheme that you did in that first value, the value thumb that you decided on, and you just test out your colors that way. And again, if the client wants to be involved, you send it to them and say, what do you think of this color scheme? And they'll pick the one that they like the most. Or if they don't, you pick the one you like the most, right? A day or two you have spent, and you know exactly where you're going to go with your painting. You know what value scheme, you know what the composition is going to look like, and you know what your colors are going to be. Then you paint it. And that painting that might have taken you a month of panic and stress to meet that deadline, you end up getting done in a week. And it's 10 times nicer than you would have done if you did all that tinkering on your canvas. The best paintings, the most successful paintings on earth are ones that required a lot of practice and study beforehand. Look at any of the master painters. Look at Michelangelo. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. Look at John Singer Sargent would leap at his canvas with bravado, whatever. Good for him. But you know what I mean, right? It was planning, execution. Okay? Another good example is Bob Ross. A lot of artists love Bob Ross. I love him to pieces, awesome guy. Although he's very public about it, a lot of people lose sight of this, because I used to watch Bob Ross religiously every week. Okay, I loved his show growing up. What he has mentioned, but what people overlook, is the fact that he did one or two full canvases beforehand, and when he was painting, he was actually replicating what was off screen. Because he's not going to waste everybody's time experimenting on TV. He's got to execute the painting. There wasn't a single painting he did on TV where he went from scratch. He always had the finished painting that he fleshed out off screen. He did a practice painting, or maybe even 2 or 3. And then when he picked one that he liked, that's the one that ended up on TV. And that's why it took him an hour to do it, because he was just replicating it. But he did that study. And there was actually a Facebook post that was put out very recently. It was a Facebook post that was put out recently. What happened to all of Bob Ross's other paintings, right? He produced these thousands of paintings. What happened to all of them, right? So they were talking, this Facebook post is about that. All of these other paintings he did off screen that nobody ever knew, because he had all these extras. Did he sell them? What is the deal? So go and look that up if you're interested. So planning is everything, okay? Planning is everything. And secondly, keep it simple. When I look at this painting, it is a mosaic of high and low values. Dark light, dark light, dark light. There's just speckled all over the place. And what that does is it kills clarity. It kills the overall clarity and solidity of that particular painting. And that's where you're losing your value scheme, because you have dark values, but they're speckled. Try to group them together. Try to create solid shapes out of your values. Solid dark, solid medium, solid light.